No data stored. Happy New Year and good night. All right. Yes, Sheldon, you were the first. But even if you weren't the first, you're the best. Yeah, you talk about Kurt Burdick, the fuck Death of Power guy. I had to think about it. Yeah, um, yeah, I follow his stuff. He doesn't post too much. He's probably just out making comics and able to kind of have a at least a sort of a career doing it rather than having to like I'm going to build my YouTube channel then hopefully I can make comics based on people watching this and then maybe I can have sort of a career making comics. Just a little halfway career, a little side gig for me. What you up to tonight, Sheldon? Anything fun right now? Interesting going on in your world? You just sent out your comic to me. Okay, awesome. I kind of forgot you were doing that, which I can't wait to get it. I've got so many kind of back and forths with people about, hey, will you review my comic? Hey, can I send you comics? Hey, have you read this comic? Hey, can I buy this book off you? Like, I'm starting to like lose track of who has said they're going to do what for me. So I'm going to ask you if you do me a favor, like, kind of like whatever you see me doing live streams or anything, hit me up and remind me, like, hey, did you get it? Do you have it? You know what I mean? Because I honestly need some help remembering half of this shit because my brain is just not able to keep up. There's so damn many things going on in addition to just trying to like handle life and everything like that. I'm like, I just keep forgetting some of the stuff that I've told people I'm going to do or people are going to do. And anyway, blah, blah, blah. Don't let me forget. I mean, obviously, I'll get it, but I just need little helpful reminders. No, I mean, well, I mean, if you're sending me a comic, I want to show it. That is part of the YouTube channel. You know what I mean? Um, that's part of the fun. You know, I look forward to it. I get like I've had times where I forgot that somebody sent me a thing. I set it aside, like, okay, I'll get to this. And I just freaking forget that I even had it. Boy, I do not mean to do that. But you know, I would like to show it. I get I forgive me if we've been over all of this, but we talked about like if you're gonna send it to me, like if you're okay with it, I definitely want to show it, right? We've had this conversation, right? Just get behind and just can't remember everything. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I'm looking forward to seeing it. You think it's great enough and fun to read, but you're well. Here's the thing. I say this all the time. Like, if we're out here making a thing, I understand. You know, not that this is what you said, but it can be kind of intimidating to put yourself out there. But like, if a person can't make a book and be like, "Yeah, I made this. I think it's fun. Give it a shot." You know, it's like I'd like to think we're all making stuff, thinking like it's entertaining and it's kind of good. Otherwise, why would we be doing it, right? You know, it'd be like, what else are you supposed to say? Like, yeah, I made it. It's fucking sucks. I'm like, oh, well, then don't bother sending me a copy. You know, we got to advocate for ourselves. And yeah, you made it because you feel like you had a good idea and a fun idea and you saw it through to the end. And here we are going to check it out. So I'm looking forward to it. You're asking if I was playing with my little TV today? No, I was at work all day. Then I come home and I kind of crashed out and took a little bit of a nap and then recorded a couple of videos for the channel. Now I'm here. This is so far basically just nothing for anything. Um, I know I say this every time. I just need to get cracking on the pages for the next book, but I'm a little bit stuck, so I just keep drawing other random stuff. And these are other characters that are gonna spin out of my He-Man project that are gonna be a personal project of its own book at some point. And I just kind of wanted to draw them. And then I was also thinking to myself that I've done a lot of like covers and pinups and goof off things that are like homages or whatever to other covers drawn by other professional artists. Like, I draw my own characters when I'm taking a composition from a Liefeld thing or something like that, just for the fun of it. I'm like, I need to sit down and just draw my own characters in their own kind of awesome standing composition pose shot. That's just one that I made up on my own. Which, and not that this is like any big fucking deal. It's just they're standing here looking like posing. But rather than me looking at someone else's thing, I'm like, I want to do a version of that. Like, just draw my own guys and just kind of draw whatever the hell comes out of my head. And so that's what this is. These are my again, like I said, my He-Man spin-off characters from my fan comic that will eventually, my plan is to do their own story. So if that makes sense, just me drawing my own guys for the fun of it, just to kind of be like, just sit down and just. I was like, don't even think about it. Just sit down and just start drawing. Just start drawing these guys. And as I draw them, I kind of keep going back in my mind about all the time that I spent crafting that Master's End fan comic and how much time I spent with those characters. And I'm like, oh, I kind of missed that world that I was playing in for a stretch. Yeah, a lot of fun there. But I told all the stories I told like 98% of all the story I wanted to tell with that thing, and I had a lot of fun. You like the head tilt on the chick's pose? Well, hopefully, you know what the problem is. I mean, if you draw, I assume you kind of understand, but a lot of times you can kind of get like the initial rough sketch carries some kind of energy and vibe that you're like, ooh, I kind of captured something there. And then as you refine it, suddenly that little interesting element to it just evaporates. And you're like, where the hell did it go? I was really trying to keep that element and then it's just gone now. What the hell did I do? How did I lose it? So hopefully anything that's there by the time I finish it and refine it, um, it'll stay there. Hopefully. Ugh. Yeah, you get it. It's hard to keep that sometimes. You're like, oh, this little rough little sketch. I'm on to something. Then you refine it and you're like, well, whatever it was, it's gone. Sucks to be me. I had to get out my inked drawing from Chuck to remember what the hell this character's outfit looked like. And like, oh yeah, what the hell kind of design elements did I have in this damn thing so I could put her back in it? One of the reasons I keep this thing right by me all the time. Oh, you haven't seen this, Sheldon? Really? Sorry. The story behind it is 2 years ago, actually, like yesterday, is when I shared this. But I was doing a live streams. I was doing my channel. I was doing live streams, and Chuck Gibson, the inker, I assume you know who he is through my channel. He'd show up and he'd start chatting me up and telling me stuff, and he kind of, let me know that he used to ink for Wildstorm, Jim Lee's studio. And so I was chatting how my birthday was coming up. And he said 2 years ago, he's like, oh, speaking of, there he is. I was like, he's like, hey, I'll ink something for you. I'm like, holy shit, that'd be awesome. That'd be fucking fantastic. Thanks, dude. And so it was like 2 years ago, like this month, that we had that conversation, and then I posted this because my Facebook memories bring it up that I had shared this for the first time that he had done this. So I had penciled it, and I actually had penciled something else that I was gonna have him do, but then I'm like, oh, that thing fucking sucks. So I threw that aside, and then did this one, and then yeah, he inked it up, and then there he is right there in the chat. And but yeah, when I'm sitting here drawing the girl, I'm like, I had to remember what the fuck her outfit looked like. I'm like, so that's one of the reasons I keep this here. But yeah, this is the first thing you did for me, and I still dig it. I mean, obviously, but I'm always looking at, like, he informed how I kind of approach metal textures even on my own now, which I'll never match the digital look. Yeah, how's it going, Adam? Yeah, Chuck, I recorded the video on this book right there. Can't create boobs, right? So that'll be day after tomorrow. I've got Savage Dragon going up tomorrow, but so what, Thursday? Like that spread, man. These are from the Wildstorm books, the best inks I'd seen Chuck do at this time. I just got this book recently and I was flipping it open. I was like, God damn. It's Mr. Chuck Gibson on inks right there. It's like, damn, this stuff is just, it's just so much better than the stuff that I'd seen previous, which is not a lot. I haven't seen all the books he's worked on, but some going on here that was just level up. Are you serious? Because I was giving you full credit in the video for that one. The background, so like, did you do the figures up front? Well, still, that's interesting that, I mean, I guess he wanted to do the background. Did he not? I can imagine it'd be hard to pencil that and put it in pencil and explain what you want without talking to you personally or having some pre-existing kind of understanding of what he wanted. All the trees and the mountains that were already done with the paint. Well, you'll have to comment that in the video because I already recorded it. Um, but that doesn't change the fact that, yeah, all of it just is looking. Who's the girl with the? Is this the girl from Cybernary? Is that the girl with the gray in the hair and the pointy ears, or is it someone else? And I'm just completely missing it. Sometimes he'd ink the faces. That's crazy. That is Cybernary. Okay, that's what I thought. When I think of that character, I just think of the way Manabat would draw her, and I'm like, it kind of looks like her, but I never really followed that character anywhere else. Yeah, yeah, exactly. She doesn't look like it because it's not Manabat. That guy definitely put the defining look on her. It's kind of weird to take that rough kind of, I don't know, indie underground comic style and then just turn her into a slick, generic, boring, nobody character. This robot's name is Met-L, Met-L, Metal. That's you still have some of these pages from this issue? Oh shit. Did you get to at least do the backgrounds there? Like the bushes and shit? I'm looking at it, and if I had to guess, I'm guessing like a dabbing a brush to get that texture. You don't think you did that? Well, it was only 1997. That's God. I've only been out of high school for 2 years. You don't even remember that page. Well, it's a whole video basically kissing your butt. Uh, that saying that sometimes other inkers don't get, the limelight. In fact, usually they don't. And some people need to pay attention to how good the stuff actually is. Yeah, another one. Anyway, there's that. And then I did Stormwatch issues 11 and 12 because Matt Broom took over the title and he was kind of okay. The book was kind of okay. Hey, there's also a pinup. Inked by you in 94 from Anthony Vu. VU. That penciler put a lot of time into that frickin' gun. And then I guess Cannon looks like he's just up here sitting on the gun, but yeah. No comment. You've mentioned. Anyway, I always get distracted. I should be drawing. He's a name that I've seen pop up, but I don't remember seeing that name go very far anywhere else that I recall. But it seemed, since I do this channel and I'm talking about these books, I see these names pop up, and then eventually I'm like, whatever happened to this guy or that guy or wherever these people disappear to in the universe. You'll give me understood. Chuck, I feel like I've mentioned this, but I kind of feel like you writing some kind of like not a tell-all necessarily, but a memoir of your time, just as a guy who worked there and just I feel like that type of stuff would be incredibly interesting as a guy who would be like, what's it like from the perspective of somebody who worked there? We always hear from Jim Lee and all that, and Campbell and Travis Charest, but what's it like for a guy who got hired as an inker and just kind of worked on some of the books and what he witnessed and saw and what it was like not from Jim Lee's perspective or Rob Liefeld's or Silvestri's perspective, but from like a guy like you who got hired on and just kind of worked in the trenches working on books. I feel like there could be interesting stories to tell that people would want to know, depending on what stories you feel like are okay to share. I get you, Chuck. You say you couldn't really give a fair impression of it all as someone who actively worked in the studio, because I think you're referring to how you eventually just started working from home, um, and I get it. I guess maybe it also doesn't have to. It wouldn't have to be like a Wildstorm Studio exclusive. More like an artist exclusive. Here's Chuck, who worked for these guys and in the studio, and this is what you saw, and this is what you did, and like you told me how you got to hold the original art for that X-Men cover by Jim Lee with the Captain America and Black Widow. Like you actually got to hold that in your hand, and then I don't know. There's a certain part of the creative community like myself that would find those stories interesting, like firsthand experience from the person who was there, whether or not you were fully in there in the studio at all times, like you're saying, maybe Richard Friend. Um, you've got a story to tell as a guy who worked in that, and all us nerd fanboys out here are like, you were there. Like, what was it like? You know, I'm just thinking out loud. Because when that other artist from the Extreme Studios was chatting me up and kind of telling me some stuff, he had some stories to tell about the stuff he saw. I'm like, oh man, oh, he's got stories to tell. Sheldon, you were looking through Witchblade recently. Clarence Langsang had a cool issue with 49. Clarence Langsang was pretty solid artist for sure. Yeah, a lot of those sweet pages were stuff you got to look at and handle. Like the first week, Scott Williams had a small pile of art on a shelf next to him at the time. I can't even imagine. That's kind of like an exact example of like the kind of stuff like art nerds like us, like you got to interact with Scott Williams. You got to go hang out at his desk and hold some of the most legendary pages ever made, you know it might sound weird, but some of us like that's like I would die to have that experience. How amazing would that be? It's just there's that portion of us fans out there that were the kids at the time that just finds that type of stuff just so fascinating for people who are actually there. Several Wills Punisher pages, some Larson. Like, are you talking Scott Williams inked Eric Larson on Punisher? Is that I've never even conceived of such a thing. What would that be like? Yeah, you still look back on and think about how awesome it was and how fucking lucky you were to have gotten the chance to experience all that. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's this incredible um uh situation that you got to take part in, and I'm just saying, like, those of us who were the fans at the time, I find those stories, I feel like even if it was just written out, um like, here you are Chuck, this is kind of what you liked as a kid, and this is the artist that you liked, and at some point you decided to pursue the idea of inking comics, and somehow you know one studio almost hired you, and then eventually you got hired. Like, what was it like the day you got told that you get to work for Wildstorm, whether it was called Wildstorm at the time or not, but whatever, you know what I mean? And what would be going through your mind? And was it nerve wracking? And was it crazy? And you know what I mean? Just that kind of like, I would sit there and read that story, because it's all about like getting to know the human being, like you, Chuck. Like I was here. I liked music. I liked guitars and rock and shit. And I wanted to ink and I wanted to give it a shot. And so I went through this and I eventually got on and I got to ink a J. Scott Campbell once. Um, just, just that stuff is fascinating to us fanboys out there that were the kids reading this stuff, and especially the creatives, where we're like, what would it be like? What was it like? And here's somebody who's actually been there. Oh, you didn't even play guitar till after? Well, still, see, there you go. Um, the Neon Angel. How long did it take you to become this good at locking in details and drawing in general? I mean, Neon, it's a never-ending learning process. Um, I'm not as good as I wish I was. I don't feel like I'm even close, but I'm better than I was a year ago, and I'm better than I was 5 years ago and 10 years ago, and hopefully I'm still drawing 10 years from now and I'll be better then. You know what I mean? It's just, you just sit down and you just draw and you draw and you draw and you take critiques and you learn and you try to be objective. And if you're lucky, you run into some people who know what they're talking about and will guide you. Um, but I've been drawing since I was a teenager. I'm about to turn 49 in about a week. So I've been drawing for a while, but you know, we're usually never happy. I'm like, I'm not good enough, damn it. How the hell do I get to be good enough to feel happy with my work? But sometimes you kind of never are completely satisfied. And you're like, well, hopefully I'll just keep going and hopefully I'll get to be better. So yeah, Larson and Williams on issues 21 through 24 of Punisher. I've never even I've heard of Larson doing Punisher. Like I know about that, but I didn't know Scott Williams inked it. So now that's definitely like I gotta see what that looks like. I know they were both kind of different artists, probably, especially Larson, like than the guy he would become, but still. Yeah, like Chuck said, you're never happy with it. If everything you touch was perfect just the way you wanted it, what would be the point of continuing? Like, I've peaked. I don't need to do any better. Yeah. I've heard some artists that I really admire talk about something that they did and they don't like it. And I sit there and look at it and go, are you fucking kidding me? That thing that you did is amazing. So, if you're lucky, maybe you connect with people. And even if you don't like what you do, other people will like what you do. And if you're really lucky, you can start making some money at it, even if it's just a little. But you got to do it because you freaking love it. You better be a passion burning inside your heart and soul. Because if you're like, I'm gonna make money by being an artist, I think you're gonna struggle unless you're one of the few super lucky ones. Yeah, Chuck, you always warn kids away from this as a career. You only encourage people who can't let it go and aren't going to stop either way. Yeah, yeah, you've told me that before, and like I get it. You know, it's I'm not looking at this as like maybe I'll get lucky and I'll get my big break, and if I can, you know, I'm like I'm do it just because I have to, I want to, and anything that comes as a result of it is just icing on the cake, just luck. Yeah, there you go. Same reason you're inking it. You're like, I love to do this. I get it, and very optimistic about the getting it out there and letting people see it. I think that I like to think that this is something that people are going to enjoy. I mean, it's kind of going to be for a specific audience, but I think you know, I think people are going to enjoy it. Um, I think there's a lot of fun and energy to it, and like I was just talking with Sheldon in the chat here about it. Like we were saying, like, why make a thing unless you believe that it's interesting yourself. Like if you don't believe in your own work and think that there's something to what you've got to create, then why are you even doing it? It's compulsion, exactly. Yeah, Chuck has got it. He knows. But yeah, if we're gonna make a thing, we better at least be reasonably convinced that what we're making is. I think people will like this. I think there's something here. I have an idea, and I think it might connect. Because if you don't think that about your own work, why the hell would anybody else? I'd rather be a old man in my bed dying and looking back and going, I tried and I made every bit of every comic that I could while I was physically able, and my work is out there, able to be seen, whether it was professional or not. I don't even care. I made it and I'm happy that I did it. Rather than lying in your deathbed going, I wish I would have done this. I should have done this while I had the chance and I didn't. You can't do it for the money. You'll stomp away from it pissed if you do it for the money. Yeah. It's not that I know personally, but because I've never been in it. But you hear about a lot of these artists that got done with it and went off to go do storyboards or uh, some other kind of, professional commercial art job that paid consistently rather than like, get the fuck out of the comics game because you know one guy that got rich and famous, one in 30 years. Don't fall for it. Yeah. Yeah, I never was dumb enough, even as a kid, to think like this is my path to rich. Because I'm not interested in the rich and fame. I just want to be able to draw and make money to make a living at it and kind of be artistically satisfied. That's the goal. That's still even hard enough to achieve. Like, the dream was to be the next Lear McFarlane. Jaro, it's called Drawtism. That's pretty funny. Yeah, just drawn, just something to doodle. These aren't the um the characters from the end of the book specifically. I think I've told you how I'm going to kind of spin it off to they end up in like an alternate universe and looking different. If you've read the He-Man fan comic, you'll know that this is supposed to be them, but different bodies, different names. But yeah, I was just kind of looking for something to sketch around with, and I'm like, I haven't drawn these guys, and I was talking about this earlier how I spent so much time with these characters and those stories. I was like, I kind of miss them in a way. So I'm like, I want to kind of draw them again, even though these are like the alternate versions, but it's still them. The gal with the sword. I could pretty much say that anytime. If there's a girl with the sword, I'm like, she's probably my favorite. Please stab me, missus. She's like, excuse me? I'm like, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just a simp. there's a little bit of the cylinders and boxes, but I see what you're saying, Jaro. I that's kind of why I like using this soft blue pencil. I've had a couple people kind of like challenge me. They're like, "Why do you do all this? Why do you sketch with the blue on a separate page? Why not just go in with a regular pencil and rough this in on the actual final page?" And I get it. A lot of artists do that, especially good ones. But just the way that this soft thing, this soft lead just kind of flows over the page, that yeah, I kind of just sketch out the figures and just kind of find what I want. And then when I get like the rough in there, I get my kneaded eraser out, and then I can kind of go over it and give it a erase, and you still got the underdrawing, but then I can come back over it and put in a tight version. And then once I get to kind of like basically this level of like the girl figure here, then I'll put the new paper on top of it and light box it and come up with a nice, fresh, finished, you know, uh, pencil drawing. The much needed eraser. Neon Angel, getting a forklift certified, which I am, is much more reasonable than chasing after the dream of being McFarlane. It's like, bud, you're gonna wanna do it. You either got to be a baseball player, bud. God damn it. Of course, I gotta keep sharpening this damn pencil. I hate drawing with it when it's dull. You don't think anyone who's making comics for the money? Well, the bigger names are. Or at least they're good enough that the money comes with it. That's kind of a much smaller group of people. Chuck, at the time you say it seemed pretty reasonable. You personally knew people that it had happened to and others that it was happening for. It didn't seem like a stretch. Yeah. And then suddenly the comics market crashed. Suddenly people weren't buying 20 copies of a book. And suddenly there wasn't millions to be made. Jaro, Eric Larson draws the same way. Yeah, I've seen him do. He's just so good at what he does. Yeah, Sheldon, you got pretty used to the idea that you'd be working your job and making comics on the side a long time ago. Yeah, that's me. But again, we do it because we want to, because this is it's I'd much prefer to do it than to not. DC is hyping Absolute Batman selling 30,000 in the 90s. Those were canceled. True. I feel like I've seen some articles where they're that like Absolute Batman has sold way more than 30,000. Um, like it's just been doing crazy gangbusters, which is good. I like seeing, if there's a product being made and people are digging it, then good. Whether you like the studio who's making it, Marvel or DC, whether you don't kind of care for them, but if people are buying freaking comics because they're enjoying what's going on, then that's what, it's good for everybody. Yeah, there you go, Chuck. They'd rather promote the writers and sell less than promote the artists and risk creating competition. That's such kind of bullshit. Like, a thriving comic art community is better for everybody. Make it so artists want to come to Marvel or DC and give their best work. And if they do some good work and then they go off and create their own thing, you know what? Then just find the next big guy. And yeah, if you're lucky, if you make an artist popular and they made work for you, then you'll probably be selling that work in perpetuity forever in reprints. So isn't that good for everybody? Yeah, see, Jaro, hundreds of thousands of copies is what I'd heard, for Absolute Batman. And again, good for them. Marvel can't seem to find a hit to save their lives. I guess they're hoping that this DC Marvel crossover where Jim Lee's going to draw what is it, a Lois Lane, Mary Jane crossover short story. Boy, that's what I want to see. Is I want to see Jim Lee draw a Mary Jane and Lois Lane crossover story. That's the best use of Jim Lee, sure. There's a lot of sarcasm there in case you couldn't tell. That's crazy. Back in 2003, anything that sold less than 50K wasn't profitable. God, I mean, where does all the money? I mean, I guess money to pay the talent and then pay the printing. I guess all that money dries up fast, but damn. Sheldon, can you imagine all the new readers? MJ and LL crossover, right? Like, yeah. Like, normally, I might even want to roll into my comic shop and say, hey, I want to, get in my holds the DC crossover with Jim Lee, but I don't know that I even fucking want to do that. Just, why would I care? I feel like Jim Lee's going to draw Superman and Spider Man team up against fucking, I don't know, Venom and Doomsday or something. That's almost a little bit too easy. But anything. But I don't know. Maybe they got something special cooking. Maybe they got something. We'll see, right? Oh yeah, Chuck saying he heard about people doing pencils, inks, and colors for the same rate he used to be paid just to ink 30 years ago. That makes me want to fucking puke. But again, I mean, not to play devil's advocate for the corporate entities, but if the money is not there being generated from comics and there's not money to pay the talent better rates, I mean, I don't think, right, that the money's there and that the corporations, Marvel and DC, are just taking such a massive chunk of it personally for their profits that they can't just afford to pay. I don't think it's just that it's not selling that much, so there's not that much money there, except in a few instances. I don't know.
OPC Legal does more than knock on doors. We eliminate the guesswork from service and process, providing real-time updates, GPS, and photo evidence on each of our 5 million attempts in Chile.
There you go. The money's there, but not for everyone. The monthly grinder guy takes less so that you can pay a big name more for a variant cover, right? Mr. Pritchard, they just need to give me a massive chunk and I'll produce something. Shotgun Scream says we just need more good storytellers. A good story with a satisfying ending is a rarity for just one issue in the indie scene. Yeah, there you go. You know, there was a time when past the 90s and past kind of the image craziness where Marvel was making some books that I was super into, and it was kind of mainly because of the writer. There was a time when all the stuff that Brian Michael Bendis was creating was like some of my favorite stuff. His work on Avengers, that's some of my favorite books ever. And his Ultimate Spider-Man stuff, I loved it. And I was loving the story. And of course, they paired him with great artists. You had David Finch and Frank Cho and Olivier Coipel, um, Mark Bagley. I was into Bendis's Marvel run when he blew up in the early 2000s. Um, I was like, there you go. Perfect combination of a great writer with a vision who felt like he was passionate about the characters. And then he kept pairing up with great artists, and I was loving that stuff. Lionel Yu, yes, yes, yes. Yeah, he was in there too, for sure. Um, yeah, I was into that stuff. I was into Bendis. And then he's just kind of gone piff. I know that he got paid a massive lump sum, and DC Comics like wooed him over to go revitalize Superman, and from what I can tell, it fucking didn't do nothing. Like that didn't turn into anything. You know, DC blew a fat load all over Bendis's face, and just nothing happened with it. And I don't know what he's doing anymore, but there was a stretch when I was into Bendis's work at Marvel. I was having a great time. The Avengers disassembled, and then the new Avengers and all that stuff. You've never read a Bendis story you liked? Oh, damn. Ultimate Spider-Man. I read every issue that he wrote. In fact, I read it up until they canceled it, and I thought it was a great run. And then again, the Avengers disassembled stuff. I had never been into the Avengers. Um, like they were kind of like, I think honestly, Bendis brought the Avengers back to the forefront because it was the X-Men for so long. And what the Avengers kind of became in terms of popularity, I think kind of helped fuel the Marvel movie. Like they kind of took some of that energy. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Did anything amazing come out in 2025 pop culture wise? I mean, you're talking separative comics or because in comics, I mean, things that are, the aforementioned, uh, obviously, Absolute Batman and uh, Kirkman and Otley on Battle Beast. I've loved that. That's a book where those guys are just having fun. I think Kirkman and Finch on Skinbreaker's been a fun new book, but that's just comic world. Art T Bear inked on Ultimate Spider-Man. I didn't know. I can't remember who was inking. I'm sure you're exactly right. I never paid attention to that. I just know it was Bagley, and that's where I really learned to love Bagley. Yeah, Battle Beast is a fun read. Yeah. Um, just this crazy adventure. It's almost like a video game. Here's a character, and he's traveling around fighting giant monsters to fight. There's quests in between. He inked until he got blacklisted from Marvel. That's nothing I know about. He worked for Marvel like a madman for years. Sheldon says Battle Beast, Skinbreaker, Planet Death has some awesome art. I only read the first two issues of Big Rig. It's cool so far. I haven't heard of those last two, Planet Death and Big Rig, but I'm kind of out of touch with a lot of new stuff. I usually just am like trying to track down artists that I love. Like, what is this artist drawing now? Hey, I got the new Darkness. T-Bear didn't want to play the ball with the inking blue lines innovation that Marvel was pushing. Interesting. I think I kind of get it as a guy who's like kind of like a professional longtime artist and inker, and he's like, I don't want to ink fucking blue lines. I just imagine it has to be harder if you're doing traditional as opposed to inking over the original. Oh, Art did a video of it on his channel. I'm gonna have to go look that up. Now you got me interested. I'm gonna have to I didn't even know T-Bear had a channel. Oh, there it is right there. Oh shit. His videos. The latest is 4 years old. His most popular video has 934 views. His oldest video is 8 years old. That's rough. Let me check lives. Oh, there you go. There's live streams that are just a couple of weeks old. There you go. That's good to know. Thanks, Sheldon. Okay. In fact, there's one already I want to watch. I'm saving it to my watch later. Proof that Marvel Comics is nothing but an IP farm. Well, subscribed. Good to know. Thank you. Thank you for directing me to that. I am curious about that. I think I'm gonna shut it down here. It's a little after 9:30 my time, and kind of done doodling for now. Ugh. Got some tiny TV playing to do, right? I do have it sitting right over next to me. No, I might go sit and zone out on Grand Theft Auto Online for a little bit before I need to get my ass to bed and go back to the fucking grind of work. Yeah, Chuck, thanks for stopping in, man. Good chatting with you, of course, as always, and everyone else, Sheldon, Wiley, Mr. Pritchard. Anyone else I kind of forgot? Shotgun Scream was in there for a minute. Yeah, Happy New Year, everybody.